Welcome to my villain era. If you haven't realized this, you may be in your villain era, and your villain era is about choosing yourself so fiercely that everybody else can go kick rocks. Your villain era is about deciding that this is going to be your best chapter yet. And this is about forgetting about what everybody else needs and putting your own needs first. It's about choosing you. And when you do this, some people will get offended and they will say that you've changed, and they might even say that you're the bad guy. Welcome, friends. I'm Victoria. Welcome to my villain era. I'm so excited to have my friend Sandra on today, and we're going to be talking about hypnosis. Now, the reason I wanted to have Sandra on was to talk about professionals that are using different healing modalities, because when you just realize that you're the villain, that people have made you the bad guy, you feel crazy. You feel like, oh my gosh, I have done something wrong. What have I done? And it's helpful to delve into different healing modalities, because it really like gets to the root of what the issue is. And then you start to realize, wait a minute, I'm not crazy. This isn't all me. So let me tell you about my friend Sandra. Sandra Dawe has a master's degree in leadership and management. She's a wife, mother, grandmother, registered nurse, professor, international holistic practitioner, best-selling author, certified neuroscience thought coach, hypnosis practitioner, who once carried it all and traded every title for one. Authority alchemist. Isn't that a beautiful title? A former corporate sales and marketing executive turned nursing executive, Sandra has spent most of her life mastering performance in every area until she realized success wasn't the same as freedom, and that even with all she had accomplished, she wasn't truly happy. Gosh, doesn't that sound like a lot of us? Sandra founded Unbound Leadership Consulting, where she helps other high achieving women break free from the identity patterns that keep them overworked, overthinking, overgiving, and quietly playing small to their true purpose. And today she uses hypnosis and neuroscience based identity work to help powerful women dismantle subconscious conditioning, rewrite their stories, running their lives, and step fully into their authority. Her work focuses on helping women release burnout, reclaim their voice, and lead from truth of expectation, where she says the real power begins. Welcome, Sandra. I
Thank
I
you.
know I feel exhausted just hearing about all the things that you've done. But what is about you is so amazing, is like you truly are, like, I feel like you're a scholar, because you truly are one of those people who loves learning, and you have
Mhm.
so many things that you have gained expertise in. I would love to find out from you, how did you get into hypnosis and what the
Yeah.
heck is it? Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about it. For me, I became a scholar for my own healing journey. I came from poverty. I was born to a 15-year-old and 17-year-old parent. I was taught to, nobody in my family had a high school diploma. No one. So whenever I, as a young child, thought I love to learn, I want to go to college, it didn't make sense because I had gone to 11 different schools between my 12 years of schooling, right? And I was around this family where it wasn't about education. It was about working hard. It was about getting an entry level job and working your way to the top. And so I did that. Started as the file clerk. Within 8 years, I was running a sales and marketing department, $32 million company. I had over 30 employees underneath me. I had done all the right things, but I was burnt out. So I went to therapy, did all the things I'm supposed to do, right? Like, let's go to therapy. Let's figure this out. And it was wonderful. I'm not knocking therapy at all. But what therapy did not fix inside of me was the story I was playing in my head. She taught me about a place to go. She taught me about breathing. She taught me about distraction. She taught me about, um, you know, the things that are important, catching myself whenever I felt myself becoming overwhelmed. And I think that the tools that she gave me were wonderful, but it didn't matter because my story was the same From a time I was a little girl, I was told I talked too much. I did. I wanted to know things. I wanted to know about people. I wanted to know about what made them tick. I wanted to know about what made them who they were. And I can remember every report card I'd get in trouble because it's like, she's doing great, but she still talks too much. And you have seen it recently on a meme, like, teacher, you can move me anywhere. I'm best friends with everyone. Like, unless you move me next to you, and then I'm going to be your assistant. So where do we want me to sit? Where do you want me to sit today? Right. Um, I did fall in love with education, but more than that, I went seeking my own answers. If I could become the expert on the brain and neuroscience and the way that the brain thinks and ticks and how our thoughts change our life, then I could fix myself.
Yeah.
If I could, whenever I went under hypnosis, I never set out to be in hypnosis. I got my international holistic certification thinking I was going to do root cause medicine, only to find out that for me, while I had some root cause cellular issues, for me, my root cause of everything happening in my body was my thoughts. Yeah. And that's
Okay.
something that no one can see from the outside. From the outside, I was thriving. I was successful. I was not only running a company, I was team mom, I was homeroom mom. I did everything for my kids. I'm a Gen X girl, right? And so I did all the things that I didn't have that I thought were right. And yet I was burnt out, found myself, as my kids like to call it, losing my shit. They're all in their 20s and 30s now, right? So it's like mom just was like this ticking time bomb. And all of a sudden it was like, can everybody just be quiet and go to bed? Like, I've had enough today. And that wasn't fair to them. And that was a home that I had grown up in and didn't want to have for my kids. So I needed to understand the scholarish parts of things, right? Um, how do I become the expert? Not necessarily, I never did it to fix other people. I did it to figure out myself.
Mm.
Nobody can
I
fix us. We have to
I
fix
love
ourselves.
that. Yes. I love that. And you know what's so funny is that I think so many women can relate to your story because there's so many expectations. This is what I'm finding with myself is that the expectations possibly like have been killing me. No, I'm joking, but not joking. It's like you have all these expectations, whether it's family, society, whatever. But a lot of times we don't stop to say, okay, but what do I really need?
That's
And
right.
you brought up such a great point that on the outside it looked like you were thriving, but on the inside something was going on and you could tell. And I had a recent experience last year. I was so sick, and then I gained 25 pounds overnight. And then I finally ended up at Chinese medicine doctor because all the regular doctors were basically like, oh, there's nothing wrong with you.
Yeah.
And like other issues, like all of a sudden I had tinnitus, but it comes and goes. It's not like all the time, only sometimes. And no, and like I had an ENT tell me, I bet you went to too many concerts in the 90s, right? It's
Yeah.
like,
You did this to
yeah,
yourself.
right, 100%. And what like going on that journey, what I've had to realize is that like, yeah, all the tests said I was fine, but clearly something wasn't fine. And you're right, it was all in here. It was all like all that stuff I had to figure out myself about my life and how I'm going to live as a person on this planet. How can I really thrive? Uh-oh, I lost your sound again. No, I don't hear you. No, I don't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can. Okay, good.
Okay, I found the system mute button on my computer. Good
Oh my
Lord.
God.
Good Lord. I got it. I
Oh my
fixed it.
gosh.
Please don't come to the rescue. I got it. Hot Mess Express. Toot toot. Never said I was perfect, right? I'm just figuring this
Oh
out.
my gosh.
So let's jump back into it. You said something that was very interesting that I think a lot of women go through. And again, whenever I got into holistic medicine, I really did it for myself. Very similar journey. In 2019, I lost my hearing in my left ear. What I did have was tinnitus. Started having lymphatic problems, went to doctor after doctor after doctor. I got all the tests. They had tested my blood work for MS. They'd never did a spinal tap. They tested me for lupus. They tested me for Lou Gehrig's disease. They tested me for all of these things. I went to doctor after doctor. I got a shot inside my eardrum that makes like everything just drain. It was the most thing that I've ever done. I did it twice because I was so hopeful. Like something is wrong with my body. It's not wrong with me. And the truth is, I had dis-ease or disease in my body. I was manifesting what my thoughts were creating, right? And the sad part and the part that led me to hypnosis, and whenever I experienced it, I was like, this is the key, because nobody could see the thoughts I was having. But the interesting thing about Chinese medicine is menopause is not looked at the same as it is in America. It is a resetting of the woman.
Mm.
She has gone through the things which, you know, the world is changing. And so I don't want to say like the stay-at-home mom, but she's raised her kids. She's gone through her 20s and 30s and 40s, maybe. She's a wise woman now. She's not a young lady anymore. I'm getting chills just saying that. She's a wise woman now. And so in that, there's this reset that needs to happen. But in our culture, we look at it as like we're falling apart. Why can't I figure this out? What's happening? Yet we're losing control of everything that we once held on to. We're losing the title of mom for some of us. Our kids are graduating and moving on. We're losing this idea of like, for some of us, we're recreating. Maybe for some of us, we've never worked. And now it's like, who am I now? Our marriages become complacent. You're doing your thing. He's doing his things. Everybody's just doing for the kids. And then you look at each other and go, hi, remember me? So
Yes.
there's so many things, but at the same time, that story is still playing in our heads. And I don't know if you've hit the stage with your kids, but they start going through their own life and they're like, you know, this wasn't right. And maybe you fucked me up in this area. Sorry to cuss, but like, and you're like, really? I did the best. I'm just a human. I'm just a little girl in this big body trying to figure life out myself. And then
Yeah.
they start telling you things that you care about, things you want to hear, things that you never meant to mess up in them. I always woke up every day and did the absolute best that I could, but that didn't mean that my children didn't experience their own hardships. One of my
Right.
daughters, she'll get mad at me for telling the story maybe, but I love this story because it broke my heart for her and yet put a spotlight on why I was so tired. She said, Mom, I never had space to just be me. You were at everything. You cheered me on at everything. You would scream my name, go, go, go. And she said, it embarrassed me. And I'm like, I was that mom because nobody showed up for me. My parents had young kids. They were at home doing the young kid thing. They couldn't be at all of my practices and all of my games. And yet here I overdid it, burnt myself out, overthinking, overdoing, overgiving. And my kid is like, that was too much for me. Sorry. I mean, it's like you chaperoned everything. You were there for everything. And now she's 26. She's coming back around and she's like, I'm so thankful that I had the mom that I had. But I had to hear that. And so whenever I believe already that I'm too much, I'm not enough, I'm overworked, I'm overthinking, I'm losing my shit every once in a while, right? And then my kid is like, yeah, but it still wasn't right. It still wasn't enough. It still was too much. That just adds on to that pile of crap that we're living inside of our heads.
Yes.
And here's somebody that I'm meant to do everything right for, you know? So it's a
Isn't
thing.
that so interesting? My youngest is 15, and we all joke about how I'm a helicopter mom, right? Like that's the like my husband will go, "Whoa, whoa, a helicopter mom coming in." Like he'll like we joke about it. Right, exactly. Um, and he's been asking me for like more responsibility, like more freedom. Um, but I had I was coming home from a golf tournament with him. He's on the golf team, which I didn't know that like the parents they sometimes walk the course, sometimes are on the course, like all day with the kids. Like it's a lot for the parents
It's a lot
too.
of pressure for you.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what's so funny is that he and I were talking about this on the way home from the golf tournament, and he said, um, isn't it sad that like there was a whole team where one of the moms kind of took over the role as the lead mom. And so she would take her cart and drive the course like back and forth and make sure everyone had water and snacks. Is everyone okay? Because she said none of the parents come to the tournaments. And the tournaments are long and it's hot and it's like all stinking day, right? And so my son was saying, he said, wow, how sad it would be if you had a parent that never came to any of your school events. And I was like, I had a parent that never came to any of my school event, you know, and so he just kind of sat there for a minute and I'm like, I know that you think sometimes I'm too much, but it's because I like
I'm
I
making
want
up for something. Yeah.
Yes. It's
Yeah.
so interesting. And for me, this whole experience, like me whole the whole embracing the villain in me, it's not because I'm a bad person. It's I'm embracing the parts of myself that I felt like I couldn't show other people. It's that shadow, right? And that's why I'm so passionate about especially women this age. Like I don't know if you're a fan of Dr. Christiane Northrup and
I've
have
never
read
heard of
her.
him.
Oh,
Her?
okay. Her,
Northrum.
yes. I'll have to send you her Substack. And she wrote this book on menopause. And of course, if you ask a traditional doctor, they'll be a lot of times they say she's a quack. But she was saying that like women especially who get into their 50s 60s and above and who have not used their voice at all, they are much more likely to experience disease than those who are being bold and outrageous and sometimes bitchy and like whatever you want to call it, especially in this phase of life.
Yeah. I've never heard of her, but I 100% agree with that. And the voice is just the modem of delivery. Everything inside of her is suppressed. Everything, because every woman, every mother, every wife has their own desires. And we are the first generation, Victoria, that we can really live that out. Our mothers, our grandmothers, our great grandmothers couldn't. They didn't have that voice. And they could vote, they could do things like that. But like we have a voice of change. And the world is starting to realize, and maybe this is my own wacky personal opinion, but women are needed. There's all of these things where it's like women can't lead, women can't be in the church, women can't or lead in these different roles. And yet we're raising the men who are leading. So if I
Yes.
can raise the man who can lead you, what makes you think I can't lead you? And if you go back and you look, there are tribes where they have to take things to the mothers, to the grandmothers, to the matriarchs to get approval to go to war, because that's where the tenderness and the loving comes in. But the voice is just a mode, right? I have these things that I suppress as a woman. I've always had desires. I've always had this idea of who I was going to be. Matter of fact, whenever I found myself in leadership the first time, I had started at the bottom, file clerk. I was an assistant to the administrative assistant. Worked my way up from file clerk to coordinator, junior project manager, senior project manager, sales, blew it out of the water my first 2 years, went on these really cool, amazing trips that I had earned, and then got promoted to sales director. I met my husband though. I went through a divorce, and that's like a whole different podcast. I wrote a book about it, but went through a divorce and literally was like, what is happening? But my husband comes in, my new husband, we start dating, and I'm vacuuming one day. And he said I was vacuuming like this, like I was taking it out on the carpet, right? Like, because even in that moment, I sat in boardrooms where it was like, oh, you're just a woman. Let the men talk. And yet
Yeah.
I'm the one out at the clients going, listening, right? Listening. What do you need? What do you want? What do you want this to look like? If whenever this is done, what does it look like to you? To where the men are like, let's spend money, let's buy, and not to say that they can't do business, it's just a different approach. But even in those boardrooms, I was suppressed. And what it did was it made me step back and I thought, he asked me on a date. He's like, I don't know what's happening with this vacuuming situation, but like, we're going on a date tonight. Like, go take a shower, wash that shit off. get cute, let's go eat. And
Oh
so,
my god.
yeah, so he asked me that day because he knew I was a 17-year-old mom, and that file clerk job was to pay the bills. It was not to build a career, it was to provide for my son as a 17-year-old mom, and I got that job at like 21. And it was like in an office building, and I talk about in my book how I stepped up and I was on the steps and I looked up and I thought, I've made it. They trusted me enough to give me an entry level position and I will do the rest. But I looked at this high rise building and thought, I've done it. I've made it. Um, Long story short, he takes me to dinner and he says, what did you think you wanted to be whenever you grew up? And so, of course, I did what all women do, most of us at least. I went to the panel. Like, this is what I think, but let me ask my mom. So I went to my mom. Mom, what did you think I'd do? Oh, I thought you'd serve. Okay, good. Let me go to my best friend. Okay, best friend, what did you think I'd do? Well, you were always helping people. That's great. Great input. Went to my kids. Like, what did you think I'd be good at? And I couldn't just look at myself and say, I just want to help people. I want to help them not suffer. I want to help them not be sick. I want to help them figure stuff out before it gets out of control. And so I was like, I always thought I'd be a Navy nurse, but if I'm being honest, it was because I was, what's the word? Promiscuous as a teenager. And so I wanted to be the girl on the boat with all the guys. Like, at least that was 17-year-old me. Like, put me on the boat where all the boys are. That's where I want to be. Um,
That's
so
funny.
yeah. But I was like, did I want to be a nurse because I wanted to be on the boat with the boys? Or did I want to be a nurse because I truly wanted to help people? And that's who I am. Then I go fast forward, quit my six-figure job, which was an event in itself. My boss thought I was crazy. He actually paid me through my prereqs. But the biggest takeaway was I got into nursing only to find out that, oh, you have this ailment. Here, take this med. Let's put this Band-Aid. Let's cover it up. Nobody would get to the root cause.
Mm,
Fast forward, I lose my hearing. We've already told that story, but I'm like, I'm not broken. And yet I feel broken, but I'm not broken. What is wrong with me, though? I don't know if we'll get into it, but the reason that I went to my first hypnosis session was I had gone through COVID as a bedside nurse, gone to Guam, love Guam, Guam 2021. There's a white paper government white paper about it now because a lot of people died. I was traumatized from that coming out of it. I was having my own issues. I took a rock off of an island. Like, there's all sorts of things I can tell you about, but long story short, I remember laying in the bed one night and thinking, this was my second suicidal ideation in life. And I remember laying in the bed just thinking, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I'm broken. I like, no matter what I do, like, your kids have complaints, and my kids were older. They were all late teens or like early 20s, late 20s. But it was like we were going through that whole like, mom, let me tell you everything that you've ever done wrong stage, right? And I just remember thinking like maybe the world would be a better place without me in it, you know?
mhm.
And that's a really hard thing to say out loud. It was the second time I had had suicidal ideation, but this time I'm like exteriorly supposed to be happy. I'm a travel nurse. I'm traveling the world. I have a wonderful husband who loves me dearly, privately and publicly. I have these thriving kids who were doing everything that more than I would have ever dreamed for them. They were happy, they were healthy, they were thriving. Um, Again, I have this wonderful career. I can go anywhere in the world and work as a nurse right now. And there I laid in the bed, like maybe this world is just better without me. And I remember hearing this inner voice, and I call it's my subconscious. And whenever I got my first hypnosis, I was scared to death of her because that was the voice inside of me that always made me move. And I can
Mm.
remember her saying to me that day, you can die here and rise a new person, or you can get up and keep trying. Either way, you're getting up. And so I remember just thinking, and as I rose, I remember visualizing, this was before I was ever hypnotized, visualizing that person staying in the bed. And like, okay, what do I do now? So I did what any girl would did. I moved to Malibu. Like if I could go anywhere, we're going to California. Let's go to Malibu, right? And I journaled a lot during that time, and it's really scary to go back and read those things that I had wrote about myself because my self-worth was so low in this beautiful world of success that it's crazy to think like my thoughts were manifesting this idea that I was not worthy of this world and this world was not worthy of me. Little did I know that was the crack of my spiritual awakening. It was like,
Mm,
okay, are you done yet? I wasn't. I went to Malibu. Healthcare was broken. So I went and got my master's degree in leadership because I'm the alchemist. I'm going to do the things and then I'm going to figure out how to fix the things. I'm going to become the scholar. Went and got my master's degree, got a leadership job for the very first. So our company let in the very first nursing union in Texas. So I got to walk that with them. And ironically enough, the word ascension was somewhere in the things, right? And I'm like, okay, here I am in a spiritual awakening working for a company called Ascension, and God is like, are you paying attention? And I can remember traveling to go graduate for my master's degree. I came back to my desk that Monday or Tuesday or whatever, and I can remember sitting there thinking, what now? I have accomplished everything on a to-do list a girl could accomplish. I've gotten the promotions, I've gotten the raises, I've raised beautiful children, I've had the dream job, I've sold everything and lived in an RV for 5 years. I've traveled overseas to work as a nurse. What now? I have the master's degree. I was the 17-year-old that wasn't supposed to graduate high school. What now? And it's like I heard God, spirit, source, whatever your name is for it, right? Say, are you done yet? Can I have you? Can I have you? And I thought, oh, hi, voice. What do you want me for? It depends. Let's talk about it. Let's negotiate. And
right.
it was only
Yeah.
a couple of months later, I walked away again from a leadership table. And the thought behind that was I can influence this small hospital that I'm working at, this small system in this small town in Texas, or I can take this leadership to the world and teach women that the world needs you, needs your voice, that needs the things that you're feeling inside to come out of you. Let's cure that dis-ease in your body. Let's find that voice. Let's get past that cycle in your head. And this whole time, I'm having no idea how this is going to happen until I got hypnotized.
Wow. So did you first go in for hypnosis yourself? What did you know about hypnosis? Because what I know about hypnosis is like follow the watch, right? Like,
Same.
what you see on TV, that's it.
Yeah. Same. The only exposure I'd had to hypnosis was at like a Austin County fair. My son went up on stage and they did the whole, clap thing and they went to sleep and then programmed him to do certain things. And I can remember my son coming in the audience and his job was to scream yabba dabba doo whenever certain words were spoke. And he did. And whenever he was done, he was like, that was weird. What did I do that for? That was my only exposure. Whenever I came across Dolores Cannon's teachings, she's the creator of QHHT, which is quantum healing hypnosis technique. And she actually found it by accident. She was doing some work in her small town in Arkansas. And this woman all of a sudden had regressed back to different lives, and what they found were there were things that had happened in those lives that was subconscious trauma on the soul that was brought into this life. And I thought, this is woo woo. um because the world teaches us that woo woo is to be avoided. Those people are crazy, like the whole keep Austin weird thing, right? Like, those people are crazy, don't do it, don't try it. And this wasn't just one modality for me. I was in this search of, like, again, I was looking for my own thing. So I did quantum healing hypnosis technique. I did breath work. I was doing like go sit in the river and let the water flow over you, right? I was doing all sorts of things, but something in me was moving for the first time. I was earning my neuroscience certificate. So I was learning like my thoughts are important. I was starting to become aware of my thoughts. What am I saying to myself? What do I believe about myself? Why do I believe that? And who told me that? Who told me that? Did I tell myself that? Or did the world tell me that? Did my parents tell me that? Did my grandparent tell me that? So I go into this life. I immediately recognize my current husband, immediately was like, what are you doing here? But I couldn't, you're hypnotized. You can't say that. You're in this scenario, right? And we had had a young child. So the first vision I got was me standing in a driveway with like my books in my hand, and I have on this cute skirt and this white shirt, and I'm like prim and proper. And I was waiting for something. Well, I was waiting to leave to go get married. Anyway, recognized my husband. We had a young child, and I died in childbirth. Not childbirth. Sorry, not in childbirth. The child was 2. I died of stomach pains, which we don't know if I was going through childbirth again, but of stomach pains. And I can remember laying in the bed, and I'm hypnotized, but I'm laying in this bed thinking, I don't want to leave this world. I want to just be here and be loved and raise my child, and yet I'm dying. And so my husband looked different, but I could feel that that was him. I just knew that that was him. Um Fast forward into this life, my first marriage, I stayed way longer than I should have. And the guy that walked me through this process said, when we lose in that kind of way in a past life, we hold things way too long in this
Yeah.
life. And so now maybe you can start loosening that grip. My subconscious, though, I remembered I remembered a lot of like that story because I felt it. Like I could immediately go back there. When my subconscious, though, came through, my entire demeanor, so we record it for the person to listen back to.
Uh-huh.
My entire demeanor, my voice changed, the tone of my voice changed. Um, the way that I spoke was very direct, but it was also very much like she knows what she has to do, but she has to get past that garbage that the world has put on top of her and reach down and pull that girl out, because that's the girl this world, that's who she was created to be. And it's who this world needs her to be. And it goes back to that voice, that throat chakra of like, if I speak my truth, who will judge me? If I speak my truth, who will abandon me? If I speak my truth, who will laugh at me? Who will turn their back on me? Right? But my subconscious was like, she already knows and she needs to do it. And she knows she needs to do it. I was like, so I'm listening back to it. I'm like, I felt like I was being bullied. Like, I was like, oh my God. I actually paused it and never finished listening to it, Victoria. I never finished. That was in 2024. Late 2025, I have this young lady. So it was enough, it was powerful enough. I was already on this journey. I was going through breath work. I now could say I had been hypnotized. I'm still looking at what Dolores Cannon's doing. I had seen some specials on QHHT. It was enough that I was like, I want to learn more. And by reading my bio, I try to put all the things I am, because I've earned those things, even though really all I am is an alchemist. I've walked the journey and I'm here to walk it with other women and say, you're fine. You're okay. Let's let that voice shine. And if people fall away, allow that to happen. Allow that to happen. Be the villain in the story. It's okay. Not everybody can come with you when you rise, right?
Yes.
Woo. So allow that to fall away. So um, the research was still happening. So I decided I may never use this. It's woo. It's hypnosis. It's whatever. I may never use this. But I really still thought that root cause, and in root cause medicine, I got into cellular testing because in healthcare, we don't do that. And I found big answers in my cells. And then microbiome testing because our gut is our second brain. And I really thought as a holistic practitioner, that was going to be my path. And it is. I still offer that to my clients. But hypnosis is where the magic happens because what I had learned, my breakthrough wasn't ahead of me, it was buried beneath what I had pushed down, right? So 2025, I called it my gone from healing to healed year, because what I had realized was I was in this cycle. It was in this mimic loop of like, if I could just heal from the abandonment I experienced, if I could just heal from the words that were told to me that I wasn't smart enough or that I talked too much, right? If I could just heal from that, then I could move forward. So I got certified in hypnosis because I knew I would have to do 25 free. So I'm volunteering. This is my time. This is me playing in the world of woo. But the problem is, not the problem, it was absolutely beautiful. But what happened was I was hypnotizing people and my subconscious would come through and they would say things that made sense to them. But it was like
Oh,
my subconscious going, I got you, girl. Are you paying attention? I'm right here. The other
wow.
really cool thing that happened was sometimes angels would come through and I didn't think anything of it, but I went and hypnotized a level 3 QHHT hypnotist. And she woke up and she was just bawling. And she said, I have done over 100 sessions and angels have never walked into my sessions.
Ooh,
I thought, okay, well, that's
interesting.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, long story short, this woman is going from a level 2 to a level 3. She wants a HHT person. She wants somebody that had done hypnosis before. So, whenever I reached out to her, I shared, I've never listened to my recording. I couldn't.
Yeah.
My subconscious was such a bully that lives inside of me. She was that villain that could not wait for the cage to break. She was going to come out and she was going to come out with claws, right? I go to her. We have a 7-hour session.
Wow. Okay. That's a long time.
It's a very long time, but this is what level threes do. Um, I got to sit down and do what therapy never allowed me to do. I got to walk from the beginning of my journey to where I was today. Therapy, you show up for an hour, you talk for 30 minutes, they give you some things. You talk for 30 minutes, they give you some things. And she would stop every once in a while and she would say, who showed up for you in that moment? And I was like, no one. I navigated that by myself. And we unveiled some trauma that I had never really thought about. Um, Little things like that are huge, but like I went on a field trip in high school and a girl drowned and the school offered counseling, but like my parents never spoke about it. Shared
Wow.
with my parents that I was almost raped by a distant cousin, and my dad's response was like, "Oh, it sounds like you handled it well," because I fought him off and like and my mom was like, "Yeah, that sucks." And she was like, "You were 15 and you had to fight off a family member. Like, where was the hug to go, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry that happened to you," you know? And that's not their fault. My parents had done the best. My parents are amazing people, and I don't wanna to downplay that. They had done the best with what they had, and they were kids themselves. My mom was 15 whenever she gave birth to me. My stepdad was in his 20s. I don't wanna downplay that, but I have forgiven them, and that's whenever I sat with her, I realized that this healing to healed, I truly was healed. I had gone back and seen them as kids and loved them for who they were and not this magical parent that I thought they were. They were still just people trying to figure this journey out. And I just happened to be the little girl that was stuck there with them, right? Anyway, so she puts me under and the most magical experience happened. I never went back to a past life. I'm not sure why. I didn't go back to a past life, but I went to this we do this thing where we build our world. And in my world, I had all of these bubbles, almost like a little girl that had blown these beautiful, colorful, magical bubbles. But to me, I recognized them. They were the souls that surrounded me. Right as soon as I agreed to go to Dallas to have this hypnosis session, I started having these breakthrough dreams. I
Wow.
dreamed
Interesting.
Yeah, I dreamed that I was in a shell is what it was in my dream. I explained it while hypnotized as a porta potty. I said, "It's like I'm in this porta potty box and the door wants to open, but whenever it opens, they just go, 'You're okay,' and they shut the door again." In my dream, it was a shell, so that was kind of funny. But just these magical things, but to me, it was walking away with this knowing that I'm supposed to be here, knowing that I am when I am who I need to be, when I am walking in my authority, when I am walking as my authoritative alchemist, that I have lived the things and yet I've been there, done that, and now I am who I am unapologetically, that's when my throat chakra clears. That's when my heart chakra clears. That's when my sacral chakra clears. So yeah. And then that was in the midst of I was probably about 18 so I was still in my training. I was about 18 hypnosis in. And again, every time I'd hypnotize somebody, something would come through for me. But it, it, people worry that hypnosis is about taking away their power. And really, it's taken away the interference that is keeping them from their power. That's been my experience. That's been most of the people that I hypnotize. Some people just get calmness. Some people just get a knowing. It's different for everybody. But we hypnotized you, and let's talk about it.
Yes. So I wanted to do this before we talked because I thought it'd be really great to share with people how, like, what happened during the hypnosis and my experience. Um, and of course, I texted Sandra beforehand like a lunatic, and I was like, just to let you know, all these weird things happen whenever I go in for healing sessions and da, 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 da," and which is true. It was very interesting that I felt so led to do that because like I didn't need to disclose all that information. But, and I was like, like, especially someone who you've been in the medical profession, I'm sure you have seen like way crazy shit happen.
Mhm.
So, um, but it was so interesting. I just felt the need to disclose that and to be like, you know, weird things have happened when I've had healing sessions before. I personally have found therapy was not helpful for me. I had someone, a coworker, recommend therapy and a therapist when my mom died, which has been, oh my gosh, this month, April, it will be 20 years
Wow.
since she passed. And I was a wreck, and and like, my dad was in a fog, my brother, I don't know if he was in denial. I felt like I was the only one, like, in it have had one of those dreams where you're like, something's gonna happen, but nobody else sees it, and you're like, and you're trying to,
Yeah.
like, tell people? That's how I
Yeah.
felt in my life, right?
Yeah. And I think
And
that's what we do. We said everybody just if we just don't talk about it and just pretend. And yet if
right,
you're an empath and sympathetic like you are, it's like, did anybody else experience this or is it just me? Because
right.
nobody wants to bring it up.
100%. So I went to this therapist, and she had a therapy dog that she wouldn't let me pet, and I was like, "Oh, that's my first hint right there." And like I was just like sobbing talking to her, and she asked me, she goes, "So why are you so mad?" And so I had a second session with her, and I was like, "I wrote you a list." And she, like, looks at this thing and she's totally shocked, and I could tell she, like, didn't know how to deal with me, and so I was like, "This is not my avenue." I know that there are fantastic therapists out there, but it just didn't mesh for me, and so I was excited to try hypnosis, because I have tried like everything. I have done like Reiki, I've done like generic energy healing, I have done body talk, which is fascinating. I've done so many different things, and sometimes I like I'll have an ancestor that comes with me, and like they pop up or whatever. So it was really interesting that I felt the need to disclose that to Sandra. But anyway, we start the hypnosis session. I was kind of nervous about it.
Well,
I
let's
was
talk
like, oh
about
my
what happened
God.
on your way here.
Yes. So on the way to her house, and I can feel if other people are around. And a lot
Mhm.
of times, like, I will go for an energy session or like energy clearing, healing, whatever you want to call it. And I feel like my mom is with me, and or I feel like my grandma is with me. And so on this trip, I had an angel show up, and she tells me that nobody else can come with me. She said, "I'm going to be there. I'm coming with you. Nobody else can come with you." And I was like, "Okay, this is really it." Like, I'm like, this hasn't happened before.
Yeah.
And then after, it was funny because after leaving your house, like that same angel shows up, I can see her on my mind's eye as I'm driving home. And she said, and I was like, still, I kind of said, I think I did it wrong. And she goes, you saw what I needed you to see, and I'll come with you next time. And I was like, okay, this is like really interesting. And so, like, for people who are on the woo side, like that's just normal for me now, right? But for people who are on the woo side, as you get into modalities like this, sometimes things like that happen. I just take it as a sign that, like, my angels, guides, God is looking out for me, protecting me. They'll be like, all right, let's go, girl. And what's interesting about the whole, let's talk about the whole hypnosis
Yeah.
itself. So, Sandra has me lay
I love
down.
it from your side of the story.
Sandra has me lay down, and I get all tucked in, and I'm laying there. And so she's talking very soft. And I was like, oh, this is really relaxing. And she talks about, like, okay, you're in a big triangle that's like a healing, a protection, and the whole deal, and now you're on a cloud and you're going to go on an adventure. And I was like, and in my head I'm like, this poor girl, I don't think this is working on me.
Is she ready for me?
Yeah, I was like, this poor girl. And like, we travel, and she's like, well, the cloud stops, like, where are you? And I was like, I'm in a medieval village. Of course, right? Of course. And again, in my head, I'm like, I don't think this is working for me, right? But what
You felt like
transpired
you
was,
weren't hypnotized, right?
yeah, well, it's so funny because I didn't feel like, I don't know how you're supposed to feel when you're hypnotized, but I didn't feel like I was hypnotized. I felt almost like, if you've ever been in a deep, deep, deep meditation, that's what it felt like. And if you've ever done guided meditation, that's almost what it felt
The
like. But
interference is gone. Yeah.
yes. So it was really interesting. One thing I noticed was that it was, it seemed very much like so much effort for me to talk at the time. I don't know why. So you would ask me a question, and sometimes I'd speak like in, like say a couple words, because it just seemed like it was so much effort. It was very strange. That part was very strange. But I remember, like, just halfway through being like, this isn't right. I don't know. I'm just like on a cloud on this journey.
So in that
Um,
moment, I'm curious, like, did you try to move? Like, were you like, let me just surprise her and be like, did you ever
no,
like try to
I was just like, well, we'll talk about it at the end of the session. I don't think it really worked for me, that, like, so, but I'm laying there, and I'm just like feeling very relaxed, but like, part of me thought, like, this is like a meditation. This is not hypnosis. I don't know what this is. But it was really interesting. Like, what was fascinating was we go through this whole, like, um time in this medieval village, and then you take me to another location, and where there's like water and dolphins and all this stuff, and then you asked my subconscious questions that I
that you
had
brought?
picked out,
Yeah,
that
you
I
brought your
brought,
yeah.
what, like, things that I was like, okay, here's what I'd ask my subconscious. And what was fascinating was when I listened to the recording, nothing, nada, like, not a word. And so you asked it once, and then the second time you asked, it was almost like I felt like I woke up almost, but I still was like feeling like I couldn't really move around. And so you ask the question again, nothing from the subconscious. So again, I felt like, oh, I did it wrong, whatever. But again, then I had that message on the way home. That's what I needed to hear. And so what's interesting to me is hypnosis, to me, seems more like the brain. We're working with psychology, all of that. When you go to it like an energy healer, that's
Mhm,
very woo.
mhm.
But this was like both.
Yeah.
to me. It was very interesting because I was thinking it was be more like clinical, your subconscious says this, but it's like I think also it depends upon you as a person. If like I'm all about the woo, and I'm like anyone could tell me anything, I believe it. Um, but I think that for me, that any part of the woo is great. But I don't know, for other people, maybe they have another experience that's like closer to like a clinical thing. I don't know.
So
Um,
yeah, it's different for everybody. Your subconscious, the beautiful thing about hypnosis is hypnosis simply removes the interference.
okay.
Your subconscious can come through and give you exactly what you need in that moment. And if you remember, part of what I told you ahead of time is the moment you made the decision, you opened this portal of communication. And that is something that if you would have told me while I was in nursing school or while I was practicing bedside nursing, I would have been like, that's weird. But what if,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Because it's like you are your subconscious, you are your conscious. Like we learn about that in nursing school. And your subconscious are your deep rooted belief systems, right? Your deep rooted understanding, your deep rooted thoughts. Everything comes from that subconscious level. Subconsciously, you breathe. Subconsciously, you think. Subconsciously, you sleep. And so, if you would have told me that your subconscious holds all the answers, I probably would have been like, they're kind of busy doing other things. But it makes so much sense that that is where the deep who you are at a soul level, not a cellular level, but at a soul level, who you are is deep rooted in the subconscious. What I love about QHHT is I do nothing. I do nothing. I get you into that deep meditative state, which is actually called delta state. Joe Dispenza talks about it. I get you into that deep level state. And then now I have only removed the interference for you to have the experience that you need at a soul level, for your subconscious to come through and talk to you. So it was so interesting to me because whenever I first started this, everybody has a different experience. I've had people that can't go back to past life regressions. I've had people that we get to the subconscious and they won't be quiet. Like I've had people, their subconscious came through. I had one client, the subconscious came through and almost like was electrocuting him. And he was like, what's happening? And what one of his questions was, I want to know how powerful I can be.
Oh,
And
wow.
boom, you
Interesting.
get
Okay.
electrocuted. It's different for everybody, but the beautiful thing is you bring your own energy, you bring your own belief system, right? But you also, it's so different for every single person. I have no idea what's going to happen. I can tell you that ideally, we hope that you have a past life regression if that's what you want, which even if it's not what you want, I recommend that we do that because it's gonna, like, I don't know that yours was a past life regression, right? It's this vision. It's like this dream
Yeah.
state where you get to experience what your subconscious wants you to experience. And I want to dig into that because I think the messaging there for the experience that you had was phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Okay.
Every time you talk about it, you don't even bring it up. And so I'm like, did we get the same thing out of that? Some people get this subconscious that comes through. My second hypnotic session, my subconscious said, I can do this for Sandra, but Sandra believes that she has to work hard for every single thing she gets in this life. So
Interesting.
I could do this for her, but she's going to have action to believe that she is worthy of. And I'm like, me? I've done the work. I've done all the woo. I don't believe that. And I'm like, I do. I do believe that. So it on the conscious level, I'm like, that's not who I am anymore. I'm healed. I've gone from healing to healed. I've done all the work. And my subconscious is like, but have you? But have
Mm,
you? What is that deep rooted belief? And so I'm actually going back under, was supposed to do it last week and at the last minute things fell apart, but going back under April 10th. And my questions for my very first one, which I told you, I almost at this point could write down like session 1 questions, session 2 questions, session 3. Session 1 is always very simple. What is my purpose? Why am I here? Why did I have to go through all the trauma that I've gone through? What did it mean? What was I supposed to learn? Session 2, people are like, okay, Move that out of the way. What do I need to do now? What is the message I need now to move forward? Who am I? What was I brought here? Not what is my purpose on earth, but like, who am I and what is that purpose? Right? Because a lot of subconsciouses will tell you if you don't fulfill your purpose, you're going to have to be reincarnated.
Yeah.
And to me, like, as a Christian woman, as a human woman, like that, I would have been like, I don't even know if I believe in reincarnation. But your soul has a purpose in changing this world. Your circle of that is different. For some of us, it's just our family. For some of us, it's our neighborhood, our city, our state. And I keep getting this very global message, which is so freaking scary. For you, though, a very specific visitor came through and you haven't really talked about it. So I'm just curious where you are. So let's talk about the light that you had. Now I'm the interviewer and you're the podcast attendee, okay?
Oh my gosh,
Tell me about it,
Sandra, you're
Victoria.
so funny. You're like, okay, all the shit that we brought up during our session, let's just talk about it now in
Just,
public.
I mean, and you share what you're comfortable sharing because we didn't talk about this, but it, to me, it aligned with some of the small messages that I see daily.
Uh-huh.
Um, it aligned with being a woman. Like
Yeah,
any of us could have had that experience, right? But there's a deep-rooted fear in us women that's a generational thing of being
right.
seen, of being heard. So, yeah.
So, what came through to me, so while I was in this medieval village, is that I,
With a boyfriend, by the way.
with a boyfriend, what, oh my God, like you even asked me, who is this dude? I'm like, he's my boyfriend. I'm like,
Here's my boyfriend I brought to the festival.
I know it was so funny. And like when I listened back to it, I was like, he's not even my husband. He's just the guy that's coming with me. Anyway, so what I figured out was most of the people in the village, they had a light and they were shining it bright. And I was afraid to use my light. But I knew, and like there was at one point in time, like a darkness that was around, like a dark shadow. But I knew I could defeat the darkness because of my light. But I was still afraid. And I had this whole interaction with this little girl talking about I'm like, okay, but how do I use my light? And she'd be like, you just do, silly. Like this little girl who was like, what are you talking about? You just do. And everyone had, and what I could see was everyone, they had their light as a flashlight and it was hooked to their belt. And so their light was like shining out. And I didn't. And I kept wanting to put my light in different places. Like I put it in a barrel
You wanted to
and
hide it.
then I took my light and I put it in a purse. Like, and it was just so went along with the theme of this entire session, which is that I need to be sharing my gifts with people, that I need to be leaning on my intuition more, that I need to not be afraid to share the um the things that I feel, the things that come to me. Sometimes we feel afraid to share this with other people. And for the other intuitive girlies listening, like they will understand when it's like it's not even in this lifetime. Like they call it the witch wound, right? Like we were um and like one of my body talk sessions, I went through a past life where I was drowned for being a witch, being a woman who knew how to use herbs
Being a
and
little
who
bit
really,
woo.
yeah.
Or a lot.
And actually thought not even accused of being a witch because I was woo. It was my best friend who wanted my husband.
Mm.
And so I went through this whole experience and the practitioner that did it, she goes into like a trance mode. And so she did not see what I saw. And of course, by the time she was out it, I was like sobbing. It was a whole thing.
Mhm.
But I feel like so many of us have experienced this. And even if you don't believe in reincarnation, it's in our DNA. And, when you start to learn about like the trauma your grandmother went through was literally passed down to you in your DNA, and you think about how fucked up a lot of things were during
Mhm.
World War II,
Mhm.
like, and then you wonder, I don't know if you've ever wondered, like, why am I so messed up? And it's like, it's not you that's messed up. It's that like our body holds trauma. Our DNA is passing down trauma to us. Then you might have had all these past life experiences where you have experienced trauma. So, one thing that I had to come home and really sit with is I felt like I finally said, "Okay, I get it. I give up. I get it. I'll do it." Like, I get it. But like, what does that mean in my life? I joke around with one of my friends all the time that like, um, the idea of being somebody who does like readings kind of makes me want to barf. And like, I'm like, I don't
Then
have a
that's not for
caftan
you.
or a turban or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I don't
Yeah.
have that, like the crystal ball, and I'm going to tell you in the future. But the message I received was I can be using my intuition to help people. And so that's kind of what I've been like gnawing on for the past week is like what feels authentic and good to me about that.
Mhm. Yeah.
And for other people who may be having a similar experience where it's like maybe you've been afraid to share your gifts with family or friends, um, like nothing bad is going to happen to you. I think that like for me, and maybe it's for other people too, it's like we feel like, oh, like death is going to happen because like that's what it feels like in your body. Like, oh my gosh, I will be so vulnerable if I share this. And this is very funny. I have a friend who is very, very Christian, and I love her so much. And I shared with her, I just felt compelled the other day. I was like, you may not want to be my friend anymore. And I told her, I was like, I have this gift. I've always had this gift. I have a knowing. I've sometimes people come to me for advice, like the grocery line in the store. My kids are always like, oh my God, mom, why is this person talking to you?
Yeah.
It's like, tell me their life story. And I'm like, "Ah, okay, I'll hold space for you. Right. So, um, I had this whole conversation with you, and she was like, I don't know what that has to do with us not being friends anymore. But it it was like very scary for me to do that, but I felt compelled. And so I feel like this is a whole new chapter where it's like really I'm taking this piece of me that I've hid for a long time.
And holding
And
space for yourself.
yes, and just like acknowledging that the person who has that little flashlight that wants to hide it, she needs some extra love and encouragement to not. And so I
And
was
with this,
not sorry.
so let's go back to you talking to your friend. You spoke your fear first. Had you call I always wonder like how, because that's something that I have changed too, right? Like my fear in this is that you still think that I haven't changed, or you still think that I'm that old girl, or you have this expectation of me of somebody that I'm not anymore, something that I've had to shed. You spoke that fear first. And then you said, and here's this thing about me that I've always been scared to share. But I always wonder, because we are human, that if you would have said, so I see dead people, right? Like whatever that is for you, right? Whatever that is for you.
Yeah.
Um, like I talked about Guam, I saw and experienced the spirits that were on that island. My husband walked that with me. He thought I was crazy, right? So why would I bring that to the world? But
Yeah.
you spoke that fear first. And she went, whoa, that made her go, Victoria, there is nothing you can do to make me leave you ever as your friend, right? And then you said, here's my spiritual gift. But sometimes I wonder, had I said first, like, I communicate with spirits. I see spirits. I feel them. I know that they're there. I can see your intention and feel your intention before you ever speak. The moment you walk into a room, I can tell from our first 5 or 6 words together if we're a short-term friendship or a long-term friendship. They would be like, she's kind of weird and I'm kind of embarrassed. I need her to just be quiet for a minute. But rarely do we speak our fear first. I'm scared you're going to stop loving me because here's who I am at my core. Often as women, we're like, I just want to be here. Here's who I am. And they go, woo, well, girl. So good for you. Good for you for speaking that to her and saying, I am scared to shine my light. And so I'm just letting you know I'm about to whip out my, what do they call it? My lightsaber. I'm about to light this place up. And here's who I am. And I know, Victoria, that in that moment, there had to be something that's like, what is she going to say? Is she
Oh,
still
yeah.
going to accept me? Is she still going to be my friend? Is she going to think I'm crazy and just never talk to me again? That is a fear that we all carry.
Right. Yeah. And I also think that some people who are very religious, I grew up very strict Catholic.
Same.
Um, it's like they believe that only one way of living is correct. Isn't everybody, this is some people. And so sometimes it can be like, oh, it can be scary to be around a certain groups of people because I feel like no matter what, they won't accept me. And yeah, so it's really interesting. And when I texted her, I was like, you know what? No matter what she says, everything is okay. Everything is fine. Like I keep getting, this is actually a
I
message that I've been getting since 2018. Right? And it's
yeah.
like, okay, I get it. And everything's going to be fine.
Yep.
And I actually had a message come through when I was journaling later this week and later the week in the week, like a day or two after our hypnosis, which I love this. And I can't remember if I shared this or not. And the message was, girl, do you want to make matrix money or do you want to make magic money?
Magic money.
Right. And I was like, bring on the magic money. Like, how is this going to work? But as you know, like also when you get stuck in the how, that's
Yeah.
not my job, right?
And
That's not my
and
job.
yeah, and the truth is for me, and I don't know how it works for other women, but for me, I think you and I spoke about this where I'll just be like hanging out, I'll be at the river, I'll be on vacation, I'll be doing my thing because for me, what I really learned was it's the freedom for me, not the money. And yet the more I explore my freedom, the more the money flows. People are searching for that. And so we'll talk a little bit about what I do now, but um the magic money comes whenever you release from it. Whenever you're just like, I'm going to go do my life because I don't know what I'm supposed to do next. And I'm constantly in my meditation saying, just I'm here and I know you'll show me what I'm supposed to do next when it's time. Because so much of my time was spent on what do I do? Planning, planning, planning,
Oh
and getting
yeah.
frustrated whenever it didn't work out exactly how it was supposed to. And then to add to what you just talked about, I had a friend yesterday and we were sitting at the river talking and we talk about how what is the worst thing? So I have the same thing you have where I'm like, I feel like when this is in its best moment, like my goal is to change the world, not to, I've influenced these small spaces. I got to run a company and we had so much fun. And the more fun we had, the more money we were bringing in because our energy shifted. I was a bedside nurse. I never knew I was going to have the opportunity of COVID, which if you know anything about travel nurses, I was making $5,000 to $6,000 a week at one point. Like that's ridiculous. Um, and yet I was being exposed to crazy things, but I've gotten on most vacations, opportunity comes to me. It just became about the freedom for me. But this girlfriend said, I still have this fear of like, what if people think I'm crazy? Like, what if they're like, well, I tried to do the life she taught me and I went on vacation and now I'm just homeless. Like, um,
Yeah.
and then we always have that fear, like, what if they leave? What if everybody, I remember whenever I started feeling the kingdom of God inside of me, because I have a program I teach that bridges religion and spirituality. And I remember thinking, if I go home and tell my Catholic mother that the kingdom of God lives inside of me, if I read that scripture from her Bible to her and tell her that I now live and believe that with everything that I am, she will look at me and say, "You are not God. Who do you think you are?" And that was
Yeah.
such a fear in me. But here's the thing. My mother held me in her wound, but she also held me in her ovaries the day she was born.
Right.
The moment I healed and healed my mother wound, my mother healed with me. I just had a trip with her all of March. I was in Houston, and for the first time in my life, I felt safe in her presence. Because I think even as a kid, I was like, I don't know, you're kind of a kid too. Are you qualified for this? And
Right.
as an 8-year-old, I rebelled against religion. I rebelled against the Catholic teaching. And I'm 8. What do I know about religion? Nothing. What do I know about rebelling against my parents at 8? And at 8, I was like, I don't believe in this. Like, I see and feel God in my spirit, and I don't believe that I have to go do the things to earn the love. And yet my religion was like, no, 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 you have to do the things to be worthy. And as a 13-year-old, I refused to go to confession. And I remember my mom, who in her, she tries to be the best Catholic that she can. And I love her for that, because for her, that is her belief. That is her journey. And I used to get so frustrated with her. And now I'm like, I don't get frustrated. I love that for her. And for the first time in my whole life, we're able to have conversations about my spiritual journey and her religious journey. But whenever I refused to go to confession the first time, and I got up to go receive the blood of Christ and the bread, the body of Christ, and she looked at me and she goes, "You can't. You didn't do the things. You can't. Like, you literally." And it's like she didn't. I don't think she said you're not worthy, but that's what I felt. You didn't
Yeah.
do the things that the Catholic Church, even though in my Bible it was like, "Come to me. I am the way. I am the light. You are the light." All of
Yeah.
those things. She was like, "You can't do this." And I remember feeling like my own mother won't allow me to receive this gift. And yet
Mm.
it was just, I don't know. I could go on and on. There's so many experiences that I've had that were just magical, and I love to share them in small snippets for women. One of the projects that I'm most proud of, it was supposed to be a book, and now it's just a journey that we take together behind the scenes, and it's called Reckless Abandon. But it's exactly what we've been talking about. It's how do I step over fear? Not figure out where it came from, not any of that, but like, how do I work my way through that journey? How do I work my way through self-worth? How do I work my way? But that girlfriend said, if they all fall away and it's just you standing, are you okay with that? What if no clients ever come? What if the family abandoned you? Are you going to still bring the message to the world? And the truth is, going back to that first question on everybody's first QHHT, what is my purpose? My purpose has been the same from the day I was born until today. It's the suppression that has happened in the midst of it.
Mm.
You receive the message, you don't receive the message. That is none of my business. None of my business. With that said, my business is to make sure that while we're doing this life, right, there's like this whole spiritual journey and there's this human thing, like, let's go have some fun. And so that's what I get to do now, is I make sure that women are having fun, that that they have a platform to be seen and celebrated, that we go on vacations together. Like, it's just a beautiful thing that I get to do.
Oh my gosh, I love that. So much there, Sandra. Woo, I feel like we need to have another conversation, talk about like,
We will eventually. You have a lot of people to talk to in this world.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
so
I
many
feel
women
that.
doing beautiful things right now.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, speaking of women doing beautiful things, how can people contact you and how are you working with women right now?
Absolutely. That's a great question. Thanks for asking. So, right now I'm building my authority school, and you can find me on the school platform. It's an app you can download. I do some video work, but my thought is take me anywhere. So a lot of times it's just my voice, not my video. We do the Authority Reset Challenge every month. And all of this is being built because my message this year, 2026, was it's time to take it to the world. And so I found a platform that was worldwide that people could learn on their own time. My goal is to go live in that platform, depending on where you are in your journey, because it starts out very basic. I'm not going to assume anybody's had this great spiritual journey. I'm not going to assume that people have healed. I'm not going to assume that your body feels good and ready. So I have access to things there. But the best thing that I do, which I think is a lot of fun, we just got back from our very first Girlfriends Who Travel trip, and there were 19 of us. And I know that that number is going to grow. And even if it doesn't, that's okay because we had the best trip. We went on a cruise. We're going to do some water and some land trips. But the idea is, I don't want to be a lady in a box talking to you. I don't want to be on your journey and never get to hug your neck, right? I don't want to help you break through barriers that have held you back and never get to sit at a coffee table and have coffee with you. And more than that, I'm a human just like you are. I raised kids who gave me the commentary back, right? I've had a husband who's like, who do you think you are sometimes? So for me, I built a platform where we don't just go through life together on a daily basis, where you can take me on an app wherever you are, but Girlfriends Who Travel is a part of that, and we get to travel together. Right now, I'm doing 2 trips a year, but I imagine as the platform grows that that need will grow as well, and I'm all about the vacation. Um, I also have Unbound Leadership, where we lead our own lives with that true authority. It's not about a title. Leadership is not a title. And so Unbound Leadership is for businesses and for people, but it's just for women that are ready to start figuring out what the chains are that are holding them back and start removing those. If you need me today, I wrote From Boss to Leader. I'm sure I have one somewhere right here, but I don't. From Boss to Leader, it's on Amazon. I'm also a co-author on 3 other books, so you can find me there. What else do? I do cellular healing and microbe healing. It's just you have to get into the school platform to have access to a QHHT session. I moved everything there. So I used to be in 10 different places and now everything's in school. My platform is completely free. If you just want to come and be a part of the motivation, find out about the trips that are coming up, find out about how to access cellular healing, it is a 100% free. Only if you want more one-on-one time with me do you pay. So, and that's just
Okay.
because those are journeys. We're walking paths together. We're healing. We're going from healing to healed. We're going from burdened and overworked and burnt out to stepping into our authority in 30 days. So,
I
but it's
love that.
completely free. I just don't feel like women should have to pay for the life that they deserve. But at the same time, in this journey, I've had a lot of people hold my hand and walk the way with me, and I want to do that for other women.
I love that.
Yeah.
Sandra, this has been such a good
I love
conversation.
it. I
I'm
love
gonna put
you.
it in. Oh, I love you too. And it's so I was just thinking about like this time last year, I was
Yeah.
like I felt very alone. And I feel so blessed to have like all these great women come into my life at a time that could have been extraordinarily lonely. And you said something before we wrap it up, you said something very interesting about the falling away. And I really truly believe this after experiencing it, that as we grow, that people will leave, right? There are going to be people that all of a sudden, like your vibe isn't the same, whatever, you don't have the same interests, whatever, that falls away. And you can't be afraid of that because that means that other people are going to come into your life. And there's friends that you're going to have for a long time,
Mhm.
but there's also going to be people who may not stay with you for a month. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's something that I've had to train myself, and that when big people in my life have left, I spent a month like really grieving that loss. And every day, multiple times a day, I would say thank you. I would say thank you, God, that they have gone. In all actuality, it was very heartbreaking. Um, but knowing that what's on the other side of that is something beautiful because your journey is just progressing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And
so
sometimes,
I'm gonna put,
go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead.
I was going to say so I mentioned a couple of times the abandonment. One of the things that came full circle for me in my healing journey was my dad never abandoned me. He abandoned himself. And so sometimes
Uh,
whenever people fall away, he truly in his heart believed that I was better off without him. And sometimes we see it as abandonment. We see it as them falling away. But the truth is, when we rise, when our vibration rises, whenever our energy rises, not everyone can rise with us. But it's exactly as you said, when that person falls away, it leaves space for that spiritual family that does life with you. And I get to watch the beautiful things you're doing in the happy place, the beautiful things you're doing on the villain air, because it's the truth is I'm not the villain. But everybody is so wrapped up in their own story of negativity sometimes that my light is too bright. And that's okay.
Yes.
That is okay,
Yes.
because a lot of times what I've now lived long enough, I celebrate my big 5-0 this year, but I've lived long enough to know that either they're going to make their way back. I've been the child that hurt my parent to say, "Who did you think you were? Like you were 15 telling me what to do." And I was 2. I was 2. I knew as much as you did, right? But the truth is that it feels like abandonment for us, but it's not. It is that fear, that overwhelm that they are carrying. My dad never left me. He
Mm,
didn't feel qualified to parent me. And
mm,
whenever I could get to that level, I could see him as the hurt boy that he was. And I could say, wow, what that must have felt like to walk away from me thinking that you left me in a better place.
this- wow.
And so whenever those people leave, we just can't take it personal. We have to know that they're on their own journey. And
Yeah.
I have my birth family, but I also have a beautiful family of sisters who will come and go. And I know that and I accept that. But I love it whenever I first met you and you're like, so can we put on the foil hats? Like, you're good with that, right? And I just thought, "Oh my gosh, she's gonna be my person, like, I love this," and maybe that's for a month, maybe that's for a year, but here's the deal, like, some of the people that gave me my biggest blessings in life were very temporary. They were very temporary in my life, and we talk about this in the bridge from religion to spirituality, and we have Easter coming up where everybody talks about the empty tomb. But the empty tomb, if we go back to the Bible verse, Jesus said, "You will do greater things than I." We
Mm,
never talk about the light that was created before the sun, the light that we hold, that flashlight. It's why I think your session was so freaking powerful. But the light that was in Genesis came before the sun.
yes.
So if I hold that light that he left in me to do greater things than he, then who am I to say that I have to do that with these earthly humans who are all on the same journey I'm on, right? Ugh. You were okay, and it is time for you to shine your light bright, babe. Shine it bright.
Thank
Do
you.
do the things. Do the things.
Yes, and one thing I want to share with other people is for some people, doing something that's scary to shine your light might be, it might be ending a friendship that is toxic or a relationship that's toxic. It might be doing some things that are really uncomfortable and scary for you. Um, it's okay.
Change the
It's
scene.
just part of
Change the
your
scene.
journey, right? It's just part of your journey. And in my experience, losing a lot, like people that I have been with my entire life, I'm now okay. I'm okay. I'm on the other side of it. And
Yeah,
I
and they
see
gave
them,
you we get to enjoy you because they gave us to you. They gave you to us. I said that backwards. They gave you to us, and maybe that was their only job.
right.
Maybe that their only job in this was to bring you to this world. If my dad
It's
left and I
possible.
never saw him again, he brought me to this world. And I remember thinking my mom and I had this moment. She was like, "Sorry, I was not the best mom to you. I'm sorry I was in," like, she was angry that I was angry. But here's the deal. I have taken responsibility to be my own authority in my own life. And you gave me these beautiful gifts and you did give me trauma along the way, but I am who I am today. And I am so proud of that woman that I am. And yet I needed to look at her and go, I love me. I love me. I have friends that love me. I have people that need me. And if your only job in that was to birth me and get me to the age 18, which I left home at 16, so I guess I should say 16, but if that was your only job, I am so thankful for that because I get to be in this moment on this earth right now when this
Right.
movement of women is coming up, and I am not afraid to use my voice. You gave me that.
Oof.
If that was the
Yeah.
only thing you gave me, that's enough. That's enough, and I'm okay with that.
Uh,
I know we could go on
okay.
forever, but
I know.
yeah. It's time for us to rise. It's time for us to live. It's time for us
Yes,
to
I love
move
that.
all of the things that are in our way and dig deep and start doing the things. So
Right. Yeah,
thanks for having
absolutely.
me.
I'm so excited to have this conversation with you and to have you here. I'm going to put links below
Okay.
to Sandra's school and to her travel group. And feel free to, you guys join all of her things. And this is one woman that, let me tell you, it's like great to be surrounded by people who have good juju. And Sandra is definitely somebody that I'm so excited that I'm in her orbit because I just know amazing things are coming up
Thank
for
you.
her, right? So I can hardly wait to see what else you do and how your journey goes.
Me too. I'm here for it because I have no idea either. All right.
I
Thanks,
love it.
everybody.
Thank you so much for joining us, Sandra.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.